train them if you don't like them. You know?
Ben.
Excuse me.
All right. Welcome to Pantheon Plus You, number 60. The big 6-0.
That's a big number, man.
Big number. Very excited today. Very excited about the stream. It was super fun and super exciting. I love seeing all the stuff. Before we get started to everything, for anybody that's new, we just want to kind of go over some stuff. So this show, the three of us are going to get our opinions out there, but the most important part of this whole show is that you participate in this show. And so we have our Pantheon Plus Discord. What happens is you jump in the green room, and then Theric will then pull you into the show when we're ready, and then you will get to tell everybody what you thought about the dev stream and what your takeaway was. And that is the most exciting part about this whole show, because it's a community show, right? It's hashtag community that matters. We live that out every single time, and we love to hear from the community. We love to hear what everybody thinks. So, tonight, I am Dracattack, and I have my two trusty co-hosts. I have the Nathan Napalm.
Hello, everybody. Glad to be here. I love being on the show because you know why? I love you guys and everything, but that's not the number one reason. I like being on the show because that means we just found out some juicy beans. That's what being on this show means to me.
Agreed.
And I also have my other co-host, the lore master, the ranger, Theric.
Yeah, hey everybody. I'm super excited as always to be here. We've got a really interesting one to talk about. I've got lots of notes, but we're not going to steal all the thunder. We'll let you guys in the green room say your piece and talk about that. I'm excited not only to be for this stream, but I'm excited for Nathan's background. He has a spider going on in his background here that I was not aware of was coming into this. I didn't know that was going to be a part of this. This is like a feature that you're just not aware of and suddenly appears. I love it.
It's very intense. It's very MMORPG. That's like it's like the old school. That's like Ultima.
It's like Ultima Underworld going on there.
Yeah, that's some dungeon crawling right there.
All right, so let's dive into it. The stream tonight. What did you guys think about it? What was your expectations versus how it turned out? What did you guys think? Go ahead, Nathan.
Well, first of all, I've tried to temper my expectations, right? So I was going into this just thinking, hey, we're probably going to see like maybe an example, maybe maybe King's Reach, and we'll get to see like that it's looking better kind of thing. I was expecting texture overlay. That's what I was expecting. Like they'd throw some texture on the ground that would look like grass. Maybe they'd have some kind of random thing for foliage or some kind of... That's what I was thinking. I was not expecting what we saw, which was full-on terrain generation, quick, and all the tools that they've custom made. I mean, that's crazy. So definitely way above my expectations.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of was thinking the same things. I knew it was going to be a very technical stream. I knew it was going to be a very explanation-heavy stream and some tools. So that didn't surprise me as much. The overlay thing is sort of where my head was at too. But I certainly wasn't disappointed by it because I think that this was a very information-heavy stream, a very valuable stream in terms of showing us how things are done and why we should expect certain outcomes, within a certain time frame or within a expedited time frame. So I think they did a good job of preparing us for what lies ahead, I guess you might say. Yeah. About you, Drac.
Sparrow just said Bounty almost forgot about Plea Plus You because they were pouring over the map.
Yeah. We did get a pretty good map there. If anybody grabbed that screenshot.
I think there's going to be a lot of diving into the map and what everything looks like, and I'm sure Ben and I is going to tear that all apart.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I was like, Ben and I is all over this because he's talked about not only the maps, but he's talked about zone lines and streaming, and that's something that they got really deep into that whole aspect of things because there was a lot of speculation. What does this mean for zone lines? What does this mean for a seamless world? and I think Ben and I was
Train them if you don't like
sort of
them.
ahead of the curve on that one.
Right. For me, I discovered tonight that apparently the developers developed to SimCity elevator type music. It's just like they kept going around and creating those dungeons, and I had like a Bob Ross meets SimCity vibe going on, where it's just like, oh, we just put this little dungeon over here and this little happy tree over here, and just like it all just magically happens. And
Yeah.
I just thought it was fantastic. I love the music. It was a nice touch. Well, I also just like the seamlessness of which, like, they took little sections and that they were just able to, just place them next to each other, and then the program just kind of like made it all even and filled it out. I'm not a programmer, and so I don't know how all that stuff works, but that looks pretty impressive to me.
Yeah, I know. I remember when they were doing that. I know Nathan, you especially were like, "Wow, this is amazing!" Seeing them put the sections together and how they sort of, I can't remember the term that was used, the segmenter or whatever it was, to sort of combine them was very cool. And we actually were all sort of like, we wanted to build dungeons after seeing that. We all had that urge to like, I want to go build a dungeon. I could do something really cool with this kind of thing.
They make it look super easy. Like, yeah, dude, I could do that, right? We could just hop in there,
Train them if you don't like
we
them.
just make things larger a little bit. We just turn it, twist it a little bit, and we'd have dungeons. It should be no problem, right?
Now, before everybody runs off and makes an MMO this weekend, let me just point out that all that really cool stuff was custom built by Rob. So, I know everybody got all excited, and I know I did too. And it's like, oh my god, I'm gonna make a freaking MMO now, but we don't have access to their tools. Okay.
Wait, I thought you were making an MMO, Nathan. I thought there was a Scamedia.
Oh, you mean Scamedia? Yeah. Yeah, we're making that one. Yeah.
Oh no, he just revealed everything.
You're just in the pledge phase still.
Yeah. We got to get out of the pledge phase. Count the money, all that kind of stuff first.
Yeah, but you know what? The point of this stream, and I think it sort of comes across well, was that it did make it look easy, right? Like, and I know that we're saying it like facetiously, like, everybody can make an MMO, but that is not the case at all. What this does, though, is show you that where they're at is in terms of developing Pantheon, is so that it appears that way, right? It's like you see when you see people who are really talented at what they do, they always make things look easy, right? Really, high level athletes make amazing catches that look super, make it look easy. High level artists whip up a scene. You mentioned Bob Ross, right? Just because you said that, whips up a scene in an hour, 30 minutes, and makes it look easy. And you're like, wow. And this is, I think, what we're seeing here, where we're seeing extremely talented people do extremely complicated things in extremely expedient and making it look easy. And that's the big takeaway from this for me.
Yeah. And if you guys remember, for years now, we've heard Joppa, especially even Brad McQuaid said all the time, they're like, hey, we're building these tools that will make it easier to put, into the game. They'll make this pipeline so that we can create things, because we are a small team. So we can't sit here and meticulously do it the old-fashioned way. We'll be in development forever, right? So now we're finally getting to see the fruits of that labor they've been talking about for years, where now we have these really cool tools. And trust me, they have more, I'm sure, that we don't know about, right? That we'll probably never even see the ins and outs of. But it's really just so satisfying to see that they built things like this so that they can make the game faster, make the world faster.
And just in case you thought it was easy, just like listen to the first 5 minutes of that stream where they were talking about all the technical stuff, and I was like, whoop.
Yeah.
Like, and
it got pretty intense, yeah.
Dude, and they're like, okay, we don't do the Houdini anymore. We do the, what is it, the GUI, the Gaia?
Gaia,
yeah. We do the Gaia now, and with the loads and the patches and the all the stuff. I have no idea what they were talking about.
I'm going to rewatch that about 1,700 times tonight. I'll just not sleep. It'll be fine, so that I can break that down. Like, I'll do my homework. I'll look up terms I don't understand, etc., until I get a grasp on it, and then I will break it down to basic peasant knowledge like my brain, right?
So
we need.
I'll make sure everybody understands. Okay, I'll figure it out.
Right. Excellent. All right, so Theric, so you took the notes. Is there anything that's jumping off the notes for you?
Yeah, you know what? I have a lot of notes, and I think I'd rather bring people in, get them talking, and then we can kind of go from there because I don't want to spoil anybody. They might have something they want to talk about specifically, and I probably have notes on it. So I think maybe we'll just sort of take them as they come, I guess.
All right. So that is you guys' cue to hop in the green room. So we have the Discord. The Pantheon Plus Discord. Hop in the Pantheon Plus Discord and head to the green room, and Theric will pull you in. You got someone in mind to be our first person on the show?
Yeah, I do. So there's 4 folks in the green room right now, so lots of room if you're still interested in coming on the show. But Ray Dill is in there, and we will bring Ray Dill in. So Ray Dill, if you want to unmute yourself, I'm going to drag you in now. So here we go. Ray Dill, hey man, how are you?
Oh, not too bad.
Good to hear from you again. We've talked to you a few times now. Last couple streams, I think we've had a chance to chat. So good to talk to you again. What's on your mind?
Well, I just want to emphasize a little bit, just from my new job I'm doing now, designing houses, that even though it looks easy on here, don't take that as it's going to be super easy, because just drawing a house now with the CAD tools I use, it takes a hell of a lot of time to put that together. And you may not think so, but just put those, we run a pretty great tool that's designed specifically for that. And so, seeing them piece some of the stuff together, it's still going to take a lot more than what you think. And, I was kind of hoping they were going to show some of their new artwork going in on this too. But, obviously from my new job too, I do know that that's a whole entire, probably another layer on top of their HDR.
Right.
And so this is a great thing that we're seeing, and it's going to definitely excel. But I have a feeling that there's still a lot of little tweaks that's going to have to go into all these zones that can take a lot more time. So even though we've seen a lot, I'm really excited for the next stream, because they're going to probably show some more of that extra detail going in. And, don't want to take too much away from people, but it's really great. But also, from my experience, there's still going to be a lot more work that's going to have to go in each of these areas. It's not like they can just slam the whole entire zone and be done with it. So just be aware of that.
You made so I have some notes on sort of that point, because one of the things they made a point to mention was how how Gaia, instead of using Houdini, now Gaia allows them to have more fine-grained control at the end stage. So what you're talking about, that extra level of polish and detail, the final layering, putting onto it, where they're able to now bypass Unity's system and work at a more granular level nearing the end stages, I guess, is what I heard. I don't know if I misinterpreted that, but Drac, Nathan, did you guys hear that as well? Did you sort of pick up on that?
Yeah, sort of. So, I think because they talked about the final detail, right, and all that kind of thing. So, what I got out of it was separate from the Unity thing. Was that I don't know how many people's played around with building 3D worlds, but if you tunnel out a cave, like they said, like they did Forest Live, right? And it looks pretty good, especially with the tools they have. It looks way better than anything I've ever seen. But then, at the same time, you can't just release it like that, right? You're going to want to put small details in there, put some barrels and rocks, and you want to place them, everything look aesthetically pleasing. And there's just a lot of detail has to go on top of that. And plus, you want it to look a little more unique than the dungeon or the cave that's, a mile down this way. So I think that's more of, and that's the precise stuff that takes a really long time, right? So no matter how good of tools you have, it's going to look super generic if you don't put a lot of fine detail in it that has to be hand placed. Smooth that rock out. So instead of it just being a step like it looked like when he slapped them together, smooth that out. We want this to look more like a ramp. We want to we want to we want it to be a little bit more closed here. We want to put a door there. We want to make that one locked, and all this kind of stuff. I think that's going to now be the part that takes them a long time. What's good though is that the mass majority of the world can be loaded quickly, or it can be created quickly, and then all they have to do is the details, which for most 3D designers is their favorite part, right? Like this other stuff that they can do quickly now, that's usually what they kind of hate to do. It's kind of boring, it kind of sucks and takes forever. So the fine details usually what artists enjoy the most. So
I also got
they can also be the most tedious.
Yeah, and I also kind of got the idea that maybe like other people could do that stuff, right? That it wasn't going to have to be like the senior programmers that are creating all these tools that would be able to do the world building then once they got the terrain all in place. Maybe.
That's Joppa mentioned that, right? He said that like I can jump in here now and do certain things because, even though I'm not an artist, we have tools in place where I can play, where more people can get involved on the team to build and do those minute details. So it's even faster. Yeah.
Right.
I just want to mention real quick too that like I played, I'm not a freaking programmer, but I played in 3D programs and I designed a dungeon one time, right? And let me just say that I started it and was just doing all the minute details, and they weren't even that great. It wouldn't impress anybody probably, but I was doing my best. And I look over and the sun's up. It's time to go to work. And like I look back at what I'd done and it was not jack crap. And I was like, you know what? This ain't for me. I don't got time for this. So it is worth mentioning how intensive that part of the development is.
That's every day now with my new job doing houses.
So you can attest to how important the right tools are for the job is I guess what it boils down to, right?
It's my new learning it and everything, but it just takes so long to do what you'd think is just a small thing. Because if you move one little thing, it changes the whole entire aspect. And I'm pretty sure it's the same thing in this. You move one wall and it changes who knows how much layers going up and down. The question I kept having that didn't get answered, maybe it's going to get answered next stream, or maybe they can't answer it with this, is will this new world building tool also be able to be used on house facades, and just, will it also update the, all of that, the buildings and stuff like that, or is that all going to have to be intricate, self-done, piece by piece at a time? I tried to ask that a couple times and didn't get anywhere.
Yeah, it's a good question. It was sort of asked with the NPC question, similar to that, right? Does it apply to that? And there's a couple just notes in chat from Joppa while we're talking about it, because I'm not sure if it answers the question at all. But he did mention, don't remember the last stream we saw those sort of red drawovers that Jared had done, and as part of the as a concept artist and the overlay, he described those as being like that's part of their Lego sort of the booklets, the manual, like how do you assemble this thing? Well, that's sort of how it's being utilized, I guess. And he also mentioned, this is nowhere near as complicated as what you're using, Radel, with your CAD program and your computer assisted design stuff. So, it's good to sort of put it in perspective, I guess.
And then the last thing I have is, did you guys notice the new cave pop up in King's Reach when they did the new skin?
I did. I was like, what the heck? I never saw a cave there before.
Yeah.
It popped out. I mean, I went,
now they can pop a cave wherever they want, I guess. So,
yeah, well,
it can be caves everywhere.
Yeah,
little pretty caves.
The reason why I popped in the show here is because Theric being one of the gurus of lore and stuff, I was kind of curious if you knew what that cave was.
No, I'll just say no to keep it straightforward. But I mean, from a lore perspective, no. Maybe from when we were watching this, I was having thoughts of having tested previously and looking at the gray box zones and thinking, boy, I'm going to miss those gray box zones a little bit. Like I kind of got attached to them. You sort of connect with them. from testing experiences or whatever. But no, I don't know what that cave is specifically at this point. But I can't say that I haven't seen it before. But
I've heard that it's where the greatest loot in the game is, but it's also filled with bears. That's what I heard.
There's definitely a bear cave.
Definitely a bear cave.
yeah.
My
Yeah.
first thought was, is that the new EC tunnel?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Very nice.
Yeah,
All
great
right, I'll
stuff.
look
And
at
maybe a tunnel for the baddies to get in
Yeah.
to town.
I hope it is the
Maybe.
new EC tunnel. That's near the humans, so I'm cool. I'm totally down, guys. Let's make it official.
Nice.
Well, I'll let you guys pull in somebody else. I didn't have too much. I just want to emphasize that, just because we're seeing how easy they're doing stuff right now, it probably can take a lot more time than what they're showing. It's easier to show something, simple, than get in there and really put in some detail and go straight forward on that.
Yeah. Right on, Raydell. Thanks for jumping in, man. Always appreciate it. Don't be a stranger.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, later.
Yeah, thanks,
Good
man.
night. All right. So should we bring the next person on? You guys think?
Our next
Let's do it.
victim.
Our next victim. All right. So Seraphita is in the green room. So Seraphita, if you want to unmute your mic, we'll bring you on. Seraphita, hello. Still. Oh, there you go.
Hey,
Hey, how's it going, man?
it's going pretty good. Wow, very impressed with this month. How you guys doing?
Really, really well. Yeah, man.
Doing good.
Fantastic.
It
Love
feels like
Demonstrate
these.
Day.
Yes, once a month is worthy of a dev stream. So it's a day we look forward to, and I'm sure you do too. What did you think of this one?
This one in particular was just compared to the previous ones was so over the top. It felt like there's more information in this one than like the past 6 or so combined.
Oh, wow.
I mean, there was a lot in there. Some of it more subtle, some of it just implications of what was shown off. But yeah, this was a fantastic one, I thought.
Yeah, no, and what's funny? I was thinking as we were watching this, like for some people, I think this is again one of those streams where some people will love it, and some people will probably be because it's so technical that it might be incomprehensible to folks that don't really know programming languages, know Unity, know any of this stuff, which includes me. I mean, and I think I'm probably the three of us to a great extent. But I think for some people, this nuts and bolts technical stuff is it's like water, right? It just feeds a need that they have to have it, because this helps them understand. Like for me, this doesn't move my, it doesn't make me want to play the game more. It makes me happy that I know that they're moving forward with development, but it doesn't really make me want to play the game anymore. You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
Yeah. You definitely get that sense of progress for sure.
Yeah.
So I mean that was really great. There's so many things in there that were just, like I said, it's all the implications. It's the little details, and I'm the same way. I'm not necessarily a programmer, but I understand a lot of what they go into. Some of the big news, right? Like, the zones being more seamless, walking through without the load, the huge gains in performance on that, the way they're walking out, how the tiles load or how much control they have over what content does or doesn't load, just gonna help so much with performance.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'll tell you that I had a visual. They've talked about this like streaming bubble before, where how the information comes to you as you're in the world. And I thought that was interesting when they referenced it before. But now I sort of, in my head, I saw the bubble as being like very, very small, very much like around you from like, I don't know, in game, like 100 meters in front of you and all around you. But then they showed this and you see that that's completely wrong, right? The bubble is massive in terms of the level of detail, like the ranges, like, so you had the yellow which was like a certain level of detail, and then you had the green outside of it, which was another level of detail. For me to put a visual on how that works was very useful. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, and I thought it was super cool because they said one key thing in that whole thing, right? Because he's like, well, you know, like, because if you're wandering around, then like if there's a deer moving over here in this secondary section, like it has to begin to calculate where that deer's moving, because if he's moving towards your active area, then he's going to have to be moved into like the priority, right? And I was like, oh, okay, well that makes sense. Like there's got to be a secondary level because other things have to begin to come online if you're moving in that direction. And so I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and too, when they showed the zoomed out view, so you could really see, you know, the blocks. It's like, man, that was like a big, massive bubble, right? So I assume that's how when they showed one of the final pictures there, where you seen the way out, you know, and you saw out into the sea. I would assume that that's because of that. So it's still within that area, right? And the only thing it makes me think of is you know, and of course, you know, they already know this, but they will have to design, especially with it being seamless. They'll have to design the terrain in such a way, I would think, to where if there is a certain plateau you can get to where you could look out, then there has to be ways for them to adjust that to look nice. Some of that kind of development trickery, the wizardry that makes you feel like you can see infinitely, kind of thing. But you know, I just got to say, and I just want to kind of see what you guys think about this as they were showing the geography or the you know, what the textures and everything look like on the world, especially when they zoomed out. The visual style of it looked a lot like playing Breath of the Wild to me. You know, like I could literally just imagine Link jumping off of this with this thing and settling down, right? Like it was that close, which is really cool because all the little minute details aren't even there yet. And, you know, it's already looking that great, which is fantastic for a small development team, dude. Because, you know, talking about Nintendo here, that designed it originally, right? So I'm not saying it looks just like it. I'm just saying that's the feeling. That's the, and it just reminded me of it. I mean, I could literally picture Link just jumping off and doing that. So,
Grabbing his glider.
Yeah, gliding along. Yeah,
the glider for sure. Yeah, I mean that's it, right? I mean, if you're gonna make these heights, and how far you can see from a height is different than how far you can see from the ground, right? I think that's a key thing. So it was just interesting technically, you know, in terms of how those zones worked when put together. But yeah, no, that's good. Anything else, Serafita, that you were interested in from this? Any other points from this that you wanted to mention?
God, I had so many, you know, but there's other people, you know, waiting to jump in. I'll just say I mean, maybe just briefly mention a few of them. You know, first of all, everyone's just excitement is so, you can just sense all of it. Everyone's happy. They're smiling. You can hear it in their voices. Everyone's so thrilled to like finally be able to talk about this and show it off. So like that alone just sets like an awesome tone. The developers do such a good job going into the detail and, you know, like Nathan was saying, right? Like when it's trying to show what you can or can't see, the level of detail, it's like, then you swap to that overhead view and you start zoning out and it just really gives you a better idea because it's hard to grasp in that like player view or something like that when you're that close. But when you get that other view, you really start to grasp that concept of just how much you can see. So like the way that they're trying to show this off is very approachable, very understandable. I would like to think even for the non-technical people. So I really like how they're showing it off. So overall, just got a really good vibe from it. The good news sort of makes me happy. I'll have to go back and watch it a few more times, right? Probably approach it a bit more critically after you get the like honeymoon, like, oh, this is awesome out of the way.
Yeah, the impress factor. I think what you're sensing, Joppa said the quote was, they've surpassed their own expectations in terms of, because the question was about timelines, right? How does this affect timelines? And he said they've surpassed their own expectations. Whenever you do that, you got to feel pretty good about yourself. You got to feel pretty good about your project and your team. And I think that is what we sense when we see them do these demos. They're like, okay, we are making tangible progress here, and we are on the path. We're moving faster than we thought we would on the path. So I get that. I get that vibe sometimes, and this one definitely had that.
I just want to put in real quick. Guy Ranther said they implied that with the reducing poly count as stuff gets further away. And then Kyle writes in, the streaming system is directly tied to the level of detail system so that things farther away load at lower quality.
Right. That makes sense.
How far out does it load in low quality, right? That's like, is it just those squares and then that's it and there's nothing, or does it go out even further and just even lower quality? Because by that point it'd be super tiny. It wouldn't even matter if it was low quality. That's kind of what I'm wondering. Like, you guys understand what I mean? Like, if you're up really high, if you're up really high and you can see super far, like into like 3 zones away, how far would it go before it was just nothing? You couldn't even see it, like a fog or whatever. I think that's more of what I'm wondering.
I think we'll get a sense, or depending on like what gets all available in alpha, but like I would like to think like a long time ago, right? They showed the long view to like the Tower of the Reckless Magician. And so like it's starting to, especially with the seamless worlds, give the idea of if you can see it, you can get there then without the loading screen.
Amen.
And so, that should be a thing now, I would like to think. And then going to your question, Nathan, is, well, once you get up there and look out, that's really high up. Just how far can you see?
Yeah, that and like Joppa just said in chat, that final screenshot where you're looking out at the ocean, I think that's what he's talking about. I mean, that was far. You know what I mean? Like, that was that as soon as it popped up, I was like, man, look at that distance, how far out the LED is actually going to see. There was a tiny little bridge and then the ocean. So I guess he's right. I guess that picture does actually show exactly how far you can see, because you can see the ocean teetering off into like fog way out there.
Yeah. And Kyle mentioned it as well. He said it's actually a tweakable setting, and they settled on 3 quality settings for their assets. So, some good clarifications there, because it does give us, a little bit more information about, the fine details of this. So, good points there, Fida. I really liked those points, and I'm glad you were impressed by the stream, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. So, anything else you wanted to mention?
I mean, I have just a few other points, just sort of things that came to mind. But like I said, I see there's 3 others in there.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you want to, we're going to be talking about this on the Rewind this weekend. So not to plug the Rewind a little bit here, but I know you've been there for the last few shows. You had a great question, by the way, for our mailbox show last week, which was about player friction, which was, I thought, amazing. So, if you show up for that, we'll be talking about this during the Rewind, me and Desrin. So if you want to keep those in your hat for now, maybe we can come back to them.
Yeah, sure. I'll be seeing you guys around, I'm sure. But just wanted to pop in and mention a few things and say hey.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks for stopping by, and come back next time. We'll have another chat.
Will do.
Thanks for coming on.
All right.
Thanks, man.
Hey, guys.
All right.
Yeah, and while real quick before the next guest, I have to say something real fast. So the Seamless World thing, that's huge. It's epic. I did not ever in my wildest dreams expect that to happen to Pantheon. But think of the implications, guys, right? Because we got climbing, and now we don't necessarily have zones, right? So the shortcuts, the craziness of players finding all kinds of bizarre ways to traverse the world, it's on. It is on.
Well, when we were watching the stream, I think which one of you guys said it, but like, oh my God, the mobs are going to chase us forever. We're never getting away. There's no escape.
Just have to log out. Actually, before Joppa clarified that, which I have the exact quote, I copied and pasted as soon as he said it. But what I was thinking was, I was listening to him talking. I was like, oh, so it's not. If you get outside, if you get the, you had like the green, the yellow, and then it was purple, means it's outside. I was like, you have to run until the mob's in the purple, and then they won't know to chase you anymore.
No. You just won't be able to see them as clearly anymore, Nathan. There'll be a different level of detail on the mob, but they'll still kill you.
Hey, the low detail mobs, they hit for less, guys. They hit for a lot less.
That's right.
John Butcher asked, will it be seamless now? And so in the stream, Joppa mentioned on how they're looking at removing zones and how it's going to be seamless now. And the mobs in the game, there will be mobs that are more adept at chasing you, and there will be mobs that are less adept at chasing you. So some of them will chase longer, and some of them will chase shorter. Some will probably chase faster, and some will be slower. It's all on now. There's all kinds of stuff they can mess with no zone lines.
Yeah.
And
just the one thing I thought was interesting though is that you can get like if you're teleporting to a different part of the world, they said there's still going to be like a loading screen, right?
And that's because of the design, right? So if you're in this bubble here and you go way over here, then obviously it has to load because it didn't know that. It didn't load the whole world, right? So it can't just plop you over there. So there's loading screens for any kind of fast travel that may or may not be in the game. There would have to be.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. All right. So next up is Idiotech. Let's bring Idiotech on. So if you want to unmute yourself, Idiotech, we will bring you in.
Or as I like to call him, Idiot EQ.
Yes. Welcome, Idiotech.
You in the house.
How are you doing, buddy? We haven't talked to you in a while.
I'm doing well. I'm doing so well. This is a great stream. I really enjoyed every minute of it. I got home after I went to a 2-hour show, and I was like, you know what? This musical experience was good, but I got a stream to watch.
It went by quickly. Did you notice? Like it felt like the hour was like come and gone so quickly, right?
Quite literally, I think I started it, and by the time I was like done eating and stuff, they were doing like the last kind of little tidbits and showing the area. So it was already 50 on the hour, and I was like, oh no. But I mean, everyone in here has said awesome things so far. It's all things I always like jot down borderline notes, like probably not as meticulous as you guys do, but I think right off the bat, the first thing that hit me was scale, and it always hits me, and it continues to do that to me. Like when you put that, wobbly mountain, I forgot what he called it, the bulbous mountain, and then put himself in the game world, and I was like, man, like I haven't played a game with scale like this in a long time, where you look up at the environments the way you do. And that really does excite me. I love it. And now that it's a seamless world, and Nathan, you just said it, we're going to be climbing places and finding little tricks and tidbits where we can get through. Like, oh, why do you go down the road? You can just go this way.
Yeah.
It's going to change the way we see. I think it's going to change the way we just envision MMOs in general.
Yeah, because we never had that ability, right, to be able to climb practically any surface. So that mixed with seamless really does. That's got big implications.
It does, and I think last time I was in here, I brought up a game, and I'm not bad mouthing any games when I say this, but I brought up Aeon Online, and I said it was one of the first games that I played where I was like, oh, this is really beautiful, but all of this is scenery. You couldn't go to the distant mountains. You just looked at them and you ran into them. And this will be the exact opposite from what I see.
Exactly. That's a great point, and that bugs me every time I play a game like that, where I'm like, you can't interact with the world for some reason. Like they have these beautiful tunnels that are like painted tunnels that you just cannot do anything with. And I always feel so cheated, like I feel like I'm deprived when I'm in that kind of an environment, because there's just, your mind goes there, but you physically can't actually do it. So,
no, I think it's, there's something to be said about, and I wanted to say this too, and I'm not, in saying this, it feels like I'm kind of giving a slight at the team, and I'm not whatsoever. But I think that right off the bat, he was like, we're using something different now. It's called Gaia. I know it's new. This is what we're doing. This is why. And that level of transparency is what we've been seeing for the last like 6 to 8 months in
Yeah.
newsletters. It's just like, this is what we're doing. This is why we're doing it. And having the team that he had today, specifically being able to explain it all. You know, I think for a lot of people who might be a little antsy and a lot of people who might be thinking, you know, a little bit more negatively than we do, they cannot deny that the transparency that the team has with everything they're doing is what we just want and what we need at this point. And
Yeah, and I'd like to point out that like there's been some bumps along the road that most developers would have never divulged to their fan base, right? To their supporters. Let's just be honest. I'm not even gonna lie. If it was my company, I would have been like, guys, we can't tell them that. We cannot tell them that, you know. But they had that moral integrity high ground to be like, look, we need to tell them we had to refactor, right? They're gonna notice, right? Like we got to tell them. So, but anyway, the transparency thing is awesome, and that makes us trust them. And here's the deal. Normally, we all know how it goes. MMO comes out, maybe for just a little while, everybody's like, yay, we love X company. It doesn't take long, and you know, the majority of the people that play the game hate the or not the developers, but the publisher or whoever they're blaming, right? Whoever's in charge of that game. So it would be very refreshing, which I believe is the kind of community that they're building, that we play in MMO where we trust and know that the developers and the team behind it, Visionary Realms, has our back, and that they're going to stick to the vision, and that we don't have to worry about silly things coming that would hamper our game. So,
and I think, you know, I'll flip it around too, and that same transparency to me exudes confidence. You know,
True.
It's just they are confident in what they're doing. You know, when I listen to the programmers, I can't program at all, but I'm listening to them and they don't sound like, oh, well, you know, this should work and this should. No, they're like, this is going to be awesome. This is the tools that we've made. And they're complimenting each other because they both know that these tools are useful.
Yeah, and that they actually commented on that. They said that was one of the reasons they changed tools, was from using Houdini to Gaia, because there was in-house expertise was one of the things, you know, and the integration with Unity, and they have a relationship with the developers of Gaia. And I think they named the company, I don't remember what it was, but you know, in-house expertise. So I mean, that's great. And I mean, I'm glad you brought that up, because I think we probably all had that instant question in our mind when they said we've switched from using Houdini to Gaia, that, oh, okay, so what kind of questions does that raise? Does that cause any setbacks? What's the integration between Houdini and Gaia? And that's a very technical question that, you know, I don't think we necessarily need to have an answer for, but I think in the grand scheme of things, when you're looking at the timeline, like Joppa was talking about the end, you know, what are the timeline? How does this affect the timeline? You know, it was reassuring to hear that hasn't caused setbacks. That hasn't been something that's, you know, something that they've had to throw out previous work to carry on with this new tool, right? So it's important that they say that. If they're going to be this transparent with how they show their work, it's important to also acknowledge there are potential problems with doing that, but then address them, right?
Yeah.
And it's worth mentioning too that, like, had they not made those sacrifices, like the refactor, etc., these tools, from what I gather and understand, wouldn't be possible, right? So some of the decisions they had to make a while back that we all were like, oh, this sucks or whatever, those were the right decisions. They were hard decisions, but they were the right ones, because now they have more flexibility in what they're able to accomplish, how fast they can produce it now, as opposed to, you know, being stuck on this this kind of coding that made it impossible for them to do whatever they want. Now it's like the clouds have freed, and all the obstacles kind of moved out the way, and now they can clean code everything and use all these pipelines and tools to get things done faster. So it may have slowed them down then, but now it's kind of like that thing where you have to stop for gas in the middle of a race, but if you don't, then you're going to run out of gas. You're definitely not going to win, right? And now they're able to pedal to the metal kind of thing.
Right.
Right.
And I'm not the technical programmer person, and so I was just listening along, and the only question I really had was is the new tool mean we gotta redesign everything? That was the only really question I had. Like, if they find new, better tools and that works better for them, that's fantastic. But then it's just like, but does that mean we gotta go redo Throne Fast? But when they mentioned that no, it works with everything that we've already done. It's just a better way to do what we're already doing.
Yeah,
like,
that's the key. You're right.
Yeah, it's great. That's fine. That's fantastic. Because that just means that I think maybe some of us that have been around a while are maybe a little weary of like starting over again. And I wasn't weary for like myself, right? I was just weary of like having to answer all those questions again that we're gonna get as content creators. So
yeah. I think, and I just want to say, like, I don't want to hold on too long, but one last thing I wanted to say was the gentleman who was in here first, and I forgot his name, started with an R, I believe.
Raydell.
Raydell, yeah. Yep. And he came in and, he had his point on, like, we're seeing these systems, like, Joppa said a day. And I know he was saying, with the skill that he's developed from using it now, he's probably, like, extrapolating to, like, I could do this in, like, a day now. And I'm sure someone who's used to world building, maybe more so than him, and I know he's been doing it for a long time now, but could also achieve that type of thing. And what I think is so, and again, I'm gonna drop the name of a game, and I'm not speaking ill of it whatsoever, but I know all of you are playing New World, and I have buddies playing New World, and it looks like fun, and I like PvP games specifically. I do, but what I always thought about New World is that it was a world that was kind of devoid of a story or intent. And we have so much lore and intent in every single aspect of this game that I'm not really I know it's going to be a ton of work, but I'm not that worried about what'll happen when they get to that stage. However long it is to get to the point where they've built the world and they're putting mobs in and they're putting pathing and they're putting the NPCs and all that. When they get to that part, they have this blueprint of what the world is going to be just written out in lore that they can have as,
That's a really good point. And that was like one of the first things they were really doing, right? Was building out this story. And like even they talk about when they start making a new area, which I guess is what we're going to have to start calling it now instead of zones. When they start making a new area, do you remember they mentioned, like, first we got to reach out to the lore team, right? Yeah. We got to find out all that before we get started, because it has to obviously meld with that lore that we built. And the lore is super awesome in Pantheon. Like, it's awesome. Deep, right? It's not like, and I'm going to throw some shade. It's not. So, like, there's games that have really good lore, right? Like the Elder Scrolls series, really good lore there. Really deep. Like, you could just read all the I don't know how many, the thousands of books in the games, and you just never can get enough. And then there's games where the lore is there, but it's New World. It's just kind of like, there's some lore, right? Like, there's some, but it's not, it doesn't feel like it's a real place. Because a real old ancient place that's existed unless this place just popped into existence, it's going to have history. It's going to have, there's going to be culture. It's just going to have a story to tell. So really cool that was one of the first things they did, was lay out this massive amount of lore that we don't even know the iceberg on.
And I don't think I need to say anything in how much I agree with that statement, as I think you guys know. But to bring it back to your original point, you said talking about scale and being able to go into the world and check scale. When you think about the lore, that's important, right? You don't you think about Wild Zen that we saw in the last stream. To be able to go in and check, does my height as the player feel right with this tree? Does my height feel right does it connect with the lore of the zone and the area? So being able to check, compare in game against the lore and the world context is really important. I think that's something that, because if your lore doesn't matter, if there's no real detail in your lore to support that, it doesn't really matter. Right? Who cares if you're half the height, the full height? Like it just doesn't really have any. There's no reason to care about
I
it.
think of it almost like if the Lord of the Rings was just a movie, it wouldn't have looked. It wouldn't have been the movie it was.
Yeah.
They had the books to reference to create this world that we all envisioned when we read it, or whatever, or Harry Potter, or any of these big things. So they had these blueprints to create a world, and I think that's exactly what Pantheon has. So I'll leave it there. I think that's
right on.
That's my last point.
Those are great points, man. I really appreciate you coming on and
Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
chatting Idiotech. Yeah, always. You're always welcome. You know that.
Jack,
So
Nathan, Eric, it's awesome chatting with y'all.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, dude.
yeah, see you next time, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, me and Derek are like the best ventriloquists ever, man. You can't even see our mouth move. We're staying perfectly still, man.
Something is
We're
gone
good.
awry.
No, we're doing that.
Oh, wait,
I
there
told
it
you.
is. Okay, I
Told you
got
guys.
it.
Told you guys I was the
I don't
puppet
know
master. I told you
what's
guys.
going on here. All right, I think we're back now.
Drac decided that we were no longer necessary for movement on the stream. It was only him. He was only entitled to having a moving picture.
Listen, there are 3 rules. I'm the most important. I get all the money.
It was funny because when I noticed it, Drac was looking around like it looked like he was looking at the boxes. Like he was like, what happened to my friends? I'm all alone.
He should have started like poking us, like doing this kind of thing. Yeah,
Jopper sent me the screenshots, so I live put them on the stream, and apparently Discord did not like that. So
that's funny. All right, well let's move on. And Desrin's been hanging out there for a while, so rather than make him the caboose as usual, let's bring Des on. So Des, unmute yourself, and we will bring you in. Des, what's going on, man?
Hey guys.
What's up, Des?
Our healer.
No, not anymore. I already switched back, so no.
It's a one-time deal, guys. One time.
Yep.
He said I can't heal these guys in New World anymore. He says I'm out.
Exactly. One night only, and now I'm back to stabbing things with the stick.
He would have kept doing it, but he got. I think the final straw was when he was like, "I got to teach this napalm guy how to tank in an action game."
Honestly, you guys did so well. I can't stress that enough. I think you did great. But anyway, to the topic at hand. Holy moly, guys! Where do we even start? Right?
Yeah.
Right. You guys already brought up some, amazing topics, right? And the whole seamless bomb that came with that, which I'm sure we'll be seeing ripples of that in the community. I already saw a little bit of little stuff in the chat. People a little uncomfortable with the change there, but I think with a little bit of time, people will start to get excited because I had a conversation. It might have been with one of you guys actually recently about would we want Pantheon to be seamless? And I was just really unsure. And in the end, I had to say I wouldn't really care either way. I think zones would have their benefit, and yeah. So
it does. It opens up a lot of questions. It opens up a lot of gameplay, avenues and things to discuss.
I got to go look at my kids are doing something. I got to go look into it. I'll be right back.
Okay, we'll keep it going.
Yeah.
I want to say that I would have been totally okay with zones, right? That's what I was expecting. That's what I'm used to. That's pretty normal to me. No big deal. But there is this thing with zones where it's a big giant room, right? It's a mental thing, right? But that it's just a big giant room. It feels like your possibilities have declined, right? When you realize you can go anywhere and you realize that mountain actually connects over there into that other area, especially with climbing, it changes everything. If you think of a game like Skyrim, right? And, actually, let's go back. If you think of Morrowind, right? When 3D, big giant open world, that was freaking crazy for its time when it came out. But if it had have been in zones, it would have felt completely different, regardless of if it would have changed gameplay or not. But if you'd have asked me if I wanted there to be zones in Pantheon yesterday, I would have said yes, because I also have that fear of Vanguard and the chunking and that whole thing, right? But with what they explained, I trust in it 100% because, number one, they've never let us down. And if it was a bad decision, they wouldn't have done it, right? But also, there is an MMO that's been on the market for a long time that used a similar way, not as fancy version of this, right? And it has an open world. And that's Dark Age of Camelot, where each continent is open and it does a bubble system. Not quite as cool and glorious as what they've built here, and way smaller bubble, etc. But it did also do it, and that game worked fine, and it did massive RVR, PvP craziness, right? So I know the technology is realistically possible.
Yeah, I want to mention something that was brought up. I saw a comment in chat about this earlier, and it was mentioned on the stream as well. But they did say for dungeons, right? Because there's somebody in mentioned chat. Oh, you can drag a boss out of a dungeon to a city gate, and I think Joppa did mention, for dungeon purposes, there will still be some zone lines in terms of going into a dungeon, right? You can't have you can't have a train from the depths of Halnir Cave being pulled all the way out to the gates of Thronefast, right? I mean, that would be
maybe cool, for April Fools. Maybe for April Fools. Is that possible, Joppa, for April Fools? Can you do that? Because that's possible with the coding.
As I was saying it, I was like, wait a minute, I actually kind of want to do that. So hold on.
I want to pull the whole world and just all the mobs are chasing me.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, just to really quick go over Kyle's post in chat here. He says, maybe we didn't fully explain this well. There are still handoffs to zone server. But the client doesn't have to load the next zone. So you still have a Thronefast, which has its own simulation server. So this is kind of a question I had during the stream was, does this technically mean that we still have a loading screen when we cross zone boundaries? It's just a lot shorter, because you did explain a lot of the benefits of not having to load as much stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's I think it's one of those technical aspects of things that makes a lot of sense from just a first blush sort of take of it, but I'm sure there's way more that goes into it than that. I don't know. It's a good question.
Yeah, I don't know.
Here we go.
Joppa says primarily, was he referring back to that? I think that's primarily to handle zone-based chat and things that would need reference specifically to find areas. So I don't know. Typically, when it comes to stuff like this is where I just throw my hands up and say, "Oh, it's some of that developer wizardry." I don't know, right?
I think
a wizard did it.
The way we can clarify this is just to ask the question: when you go from Thronefast to Avendir's Pass as a player with this technology, and you're walking, you're not like teleported or anything, because we definitely got a clear answer. There's a loading screen whenever you go long distances at a time. Is there a loading screen when you just walk from one side to another? Because that would solve probably a lot of communication issues about all of this.
Yeah. He says that it's more of a server handoff that happens.
Yeah.
Right, which makes sense to me, but for for everyone.
So what it means to a normal player, to be honest, because I'm not a developer, it means that we think when we cross that line, it's going to stutter. Is that pretty much what everybody's thinking in their head? Like you're going to hit that line, it's going to be like a little, okay, now I'm in the next area. Is that what everybody's kind of envisioning?
Well, I think that's what a lot of people are going to be afraid of. That's kind of why I wanted to clarify that. And it looks like it was clarified in saying that, yes, there's a server handoff, but no loading screen associated with like wait time on the client side, because the client, as in what's on your computer, already has what's loaded already. So
I see. That makes sense.
That seems to be the answer we're looking for, I think.
You should be able to take mobs from Thronefast and take them into the pass, right? With this system.
Okay, yeah. So Joppa just explained it in very common words. I'm going to actually copy paste that for my video later.
Yep.
Kyle's saying we could have loading screens if they wanted to, since there is a handoff point, but the experience for the player, since we're not going to have loading screens, is going to be seamless. So there you go.
Nice.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Because
Thank you.
I knew that
Joppa
was going to be a
always-
thing.
He always knows how to word it for us peasants. I'll tell you what.
But yeah, like as far as the stuff that I actually wanted to kind of bring up, which is touched upon, was talking about all these tools, and we're looking at this, like you guys said, I could do that, or whatever. It's kind of cracking me up because in early 2005, I think it was, I was trying to get into 3D modeling, and it was really bad. But I found this like free program called Animator. And it was very rudimentary and fairly easy to use. It was really basic. And they had an add-on called Terrainimator that could create procedural terrain. And I got to say, I spent about a week trying to create just something that looked semi-Earth-like. And it just amazes me. I actually just found out about Gaia like late last year. I don't have anything that I would use it for, but... it was really, really cool for me to see that and be like, wow, tools have come so far. You can create really believable, beautiful things so much easier now. And how I wanted to tie that into the conversation was just, this is potentially a niche MMO, right? We need to find every efficiency we can for the development team to continue to make the game. Even we're talking post-launch, if the game isn't the most popular thing out there, like I want to make sure that they have these tools to be as efficient as possible with the manpower that they have so they can keep delivering us content that is impressive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Exactly. It's maximum bang for minimum buck. You know what I mean? Like that's always what it's going to come down to with this stuff.
It's super important when small team that they have that accessibility to do that too.
Yeah. So anytime they can put into, finding a tool that works better than the old one, I'm just like so happy about. And again, I gotta just shout out that like they not only talked about the tool, they showed the tool in action, and they showed the product of the tool, which is a storyline that is just so often missed in other projects that I follow. Namely, I mentioned on the Rewind that I was watching the CitizenCon, Star Citizen convention with some friends, and that was something that they still haven't quite figured out. They are really good at talking about tools and talking about the possibilities with those tools and showing us a demo that you'll never really see, probably. But this was the whole package. This was like, hey, here's Avendir's Pass or Throne Fast that you've seen before. Here is it now. It's just like, just hats off, guys. So.
Yeah.
Good point. Right on, Des. Well,
Cool.
Hey, man. Thanks for joining us. We got anything else you want to say before we...
No.
Cool. Well, join us like everyone for the Rewind on the weekend, and you can hear me and Des talk a little more about this because we're gonna have time to reflect on it, come up with some insights, and we'll have a little bit more to say, I'd imagine. So, right on, Des. We'll talk to you later.
Later, Dad.
See you guys.
Go get that life step up some more.
Right on, guys. All right, so we are down to our final guest, and it is Sparrow. Certainly, last but not least. She was our spear and bow person for our New World stream on Tuesday. So let's bring Sparrow onto the show. Hi, Sparrow.
Hey guys,
Yay!
Hey.
Sparrow.
How's it going?
excited. This was the best stream. I think everybody's just kind of felt the weight of the time kind of going on, and tonight was fantastic to feel everyone's excitement. Rob, Kyle, and Joppa. It was palpable. It was palpable.
Yeah, and even going into this week, there was a bit of hype from Joppa specifically, just sort of talking about how excited he was to show us this, and part 1 of 2, right? So we've got next week, we've got even more of this or not next week. Boy, I wish, but next
right.
month.
Next week. Whoa,
Yeah, next week
that a
when I'll be here all by myself watching a stream that's not existent. So.
Be like, this was a really quiet one, guys. I don't know.
You better
Compared to last week, I don't know.
You better learn how to use Houdini really quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
And we hope it's a month. I don't know. I don't think he said it's for sure next month. I don't know when part 2 is coming, but it's coming.
I'm assuming it is. I mean, maybe, hopefully, I assume it is, but who knows? We'll get the content schedule as you know at the beginning of November here, so maybe that'll clarify things a little bit. But it was a feel good stream. I agree. Anything else? I know that Bounty Code was really paying close attention to this one, I'm sure, and I think he seemed pretty excited about it.
Yeah, he's got some screenshots, and we were just pouring over the map. That's why I was late for P+U, because we were just like looking at all the maps and seeing the places that we've seen before, and just really excited about the little changes and things. So, yeah, it's beautiful. It's such a gorgeous canvas. The seamless zones. Now, I understand what you guys were saying a little earlier, that we are actually zoning. So, like, the zone chat and things will change. But it makes me wonder about the leashing. Will the mobs hit that spot where kind of it changes into the next zone and hit back? Is it a safe spot?
No, it doesn't sound like it, because based on what he said, where he said now they have the Joppa said now they have the ability to decide things like that, right? So they can make certain mobs chase you for a really long time. They can have some that don't, and the way Pantheon's development's going, maybe there'll be a disposition thing too, right? Where some of them disposition to chase you for miles. Some of them just give up quickly, or you get a certain distance away from them, they quit, so that then you can use things like stuns to escape the mob completely. Or, there's just, that opens up a whole new world for them as developers to play with now.
Yeah. Oh, that's exciting all in itself.
At least that's what I got from it. Jupp will correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I got.
No,
that's what I got from it.
I saw somebody in chat maybe during the VR stream. Somebody I think asked that question about how does this play into mob, AI? Like where does the AI? How is it affected by this? Lack of hard zone lines and lack of loading screens. So
I'm not gonna lie, guys. I was actually Pantheon's not like a it's not like a Hello Kitty. This is going to be a great fun time, and I'm not in any danger. This is like a dangerous. Kitty? No, it's not, unfortunately. Yeah. But so I've always found great safety in that zone line, right? Like that's my life. I go to the zone line and I don't go far from it, and I pay. I'm like, yep, that's the zone line right there. I can still see it. I'm still okay. So this is frightening.
Oh yeah,
Nathan's not going to be able to leave the city anymore. He's just going to be sitting on the top of the tower, looking over and be like, I don't know.
It turned into a horror game for me. Like now I'm like, oh god, I can't even rely on my trusty old zone line.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous about that. I mean,
it's pretty scary.
You first go to a zone, you kind of hug that zone line for a little while to at least get your bearings and know kind of where's a safe spot and wander out a little bit and run back.
You guys remember in Final Fantasy XI when we zoned into the desert, the dunes or whatever it was called?
Yeah.
How much we needed that zone line right there behind us because we were like, we're going to get killed. And we did.
We're like, and that's what we said after he died too. We shouldn't have went so far from the zone line.
Yeah. It's part of our gamer toolbox. It's like, we need this tool. They've taken away a tool that we need, but
it really is. But it'll be for the better. But it's funny that like as soon as they said that was the first thing I thought was like, oh no, it's like what I do. That's my thing. I hug the zone line when I'm by myself.
Yeah.
Right on. Anything else, Sparrow, that jumped out at you?
Yeah, just when we were looking at the screenshots, and this might be a little controversial, maybe not too much, but just the way it seemed from the above, they would make excellent maps for the game if it looked like that. And maybe not have yourself like you are here kind of thing, but just that kind of beautiful texturized map that you kind of know where you're going.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I hadn't thought of that, but you're totally right. You know, like if you had access to something like that, and to just to reiterate what they've said about maps, you know, there's no mini map,
Right.
but you will have an in-game, you know, ability to see some, like, to give yourself scale for where you are in the world. And maybe I'm not saying that clearly enough, but, like, you know, we're not going to be completely mapless, so to speak.
Right.
So
And
there,
like Des said, it's like the satellite map. Like you can just see all the details and things.
right.
Yeah, and just because you have a map too doesn't necessarily mean you know where you're at on the map, right? Like it could just you got to use the landmarks around you to be like, I must be roughly here, you know. And
Yeah, I was just going to say, sorry, Nathan, to interrupt. I was just going to say, like, which is exactly what I think, you know, Sparrow, you're saying these shots like this from an overhead view would make really wonderful use of that, you know.
Yeah. Especially because we're going to be climbing everywhere. So having that kind of detail all the way through
a
would
good
be
point.
fantastic.
What if they just made it to where there is no map, but you could just use your scroll wheel on your mouse and zoom that far out?
Oh, jeez. Where'd I go?
I heard
You're
a
sitting
rumor-
there like, hold on, I have to scroll in for 2 minutes to get back to see myself.
I heard a rumor
job.
that fries the 3980s. You know, it catches them on fire.
Joppa just dropped a bean in chat, guys. He
Oh,
said, I
yeah.
know there's a lot of murkiness out there regarding maps, but to be clear, a satellite map with fog of war type revelation where it reveals, you know, as you go is definitely in the cards.
Oh, that's a
Sweet.
big bean. That's a
Oh,
big
I
bean.
love it.
Copy
love
paste for my video. Copy paste.
Oh, nice.
Sparrow,
bean.
Sparrow with the right questions. I like it.
Aw.
Yeah, wow.
Awesome.
Why don't you think of some other good questions there, Sparrow?
Oh, well, I can't wait for part 2. I want to see more of those before and after shots and more details. And maybe we'll see some more trees and different flora and fauna. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but
That does feel right, though. That does feel like that might be the next, like, more detail now on how they lay. They could go in any direction, but it feels right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I
absolutely.
believe because they believe. They are so passionate. I love this team, and I'm in it for the long haul. I can't wait.
Nice. Awesome.
Pantheon
As we are
patient.
too. Pantheon patient, right?
Yeah.
Onward and upward.
Awesome. Sparrow, thanks for jumping in tonight. That was awesome to have you. And
Great to be here.
you're always welcome. You know that.
Thank you.
Ladies and
Okay.
gentlemen,
See you later.
Ciao.
I do have one more topic I want to cover before we shut this thing down.
Yeah. What's up?
I don't know if you've got it on your stuff, Derek, but the refer a friend code.
Yes.
They kind
That
of
was
snuck that in at the end.
Very true.
kind of a big thing at the end. So I have gone over to the page at pantheonmmo.com to check it out. So this refer a friend program is pretty crazy. You know, I won't read it verbatim, but basically it's what you think. You know, if you can, you know, bring a friend, refer a friend to the game to pledge, there are some pretty serious rewards going on here. So, you know, I'm just looking at this chart. So number of referrals, if you refer one person, the reward is 1 additional free month of game time. Refer a friend, you get a nameplate badge. If you refer 2 friends, additional free month, 3 friends, you get a title, Herald of Pantheon. 4 is and then you start getting into like buddy keys, right? And codes that allow your friends to join the beta sessions. Anyway, you know, go check it out. It's pretty impressive. And it's pretty cool. And quite the incentive to start referring friends and using this system that they've implemented here. I think it's going to be quite the influx of probably some new pledges.
So help us out a little bit because you looked at it. How does the refer a friend work? Is it a code that you give your friend, or does your friend say who they were referred by?
Yeah.
What's your name?
So how does it work? It says whenever a new pledge or upgrade is made, a survey is sent up to a week later to the registered email address. In that survey, there's a question that asks you if you were referred by anyone, and all your referred friend needs to do is fill in the box on the email you use for your Pantheon account, and that's it. So your account will then be credited with the appropriate rewards. Right, so somebody pledges, they send that email asking were you referred by somebody. You know that you say that person says yes, blah 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 blah. You get the reward for it, right? It says, does it have to be a new pledge or do upgrades count? It says upgrades count. You can earn rewards by encouraging existing pledges to upgrade to a higher tier. You can. It says that you can only one upgrade referral can be made per account. Upgrading a single account multiple times doesn't net you more referrals. Are the rewards cumulative? Yes. So you can actually accumulate multiple rewards. The ones listed below on the chart are cumulative.
Wow.
Cumulative. So in addition to the reward for your current amount of referrals, you retain all the rewards prior to it. It says, can I refer myself? No. You
Can I refer myself? I told myself about this game.
I told myself about
I am
it.
my own friend. I'm the only person that I know.
I just want to point out exactly what just changed in the world of Pantheon content creators. Now at the end of, or the beginning, or in the middle, every time we open our mouth now, you're going to have to hear us be like, and be sure that when you get the survey, you let them know. I sent you, baby.
That's right.
I'm trying to get that transmog hat, baby. Let's go.
Well, let me tell you, the top reward is 10 referrals. You get a Refer a Friend Gold nameplate badge. You get a title, Standard Bearer, and you get one Alpha Buddy Key. That's the only Alpha one in this whole thing.
Alpha key.
Alpha Key at 10 referrals. So there's your incentive, you know.
I'll have that tomorrow.
Nathan's already got it.
If you get a notification from YouTube as soon as the show is over here, that's Nathan uploading like 3 videos.
He's not sleeping tonight. He's just gonna ram them out.
Got to delete all my old videos, repost them with that message. It's gonna be a project. It's gonna be a little project.
He's gonna push that 400 video upload thing again. He's gonna get banned from uploading videos.
Yeah.
I'll start going door to door. I don't care. I got no shame.
My name is Nathan Napalm. Have you heard about Pantheon Rise of the Fallen? God is
Have
good.
you heard about our glorious savior of MMOs, Pantheon Rise of the Fallen? Mind if I come in for a minute? I got my iPad here. I got some videos to show you.
I'd like to discuss it with you.
some Pantheon literature for you.
Oh, that's so great.
Oh well, I think that is a. I'm so glad they're doing that. I mean that's fun. You know, lots of good incentives there. And somebody in chat said Ko is going to mention it once, and he's going to have all the rewards instantly, right? So
definitely.
Yeah. Right on.
That's awesome. Oh, that's all I had. That was the last thing I wanted to make sure I got to. Do you guys have any comments? Nathan?
Oh,
No, I think we covered everything.
Nathan, you got anything?
I'm sorry, I got a little distracted.
He's still thinking about all the videos.
What was the question? What was the question? I was reading Joppa's comment. What was that?
Oh, we should read Joppa's comment because it is worthy of attention. He said, "Do you mind if I log into your PC and try on your yoga pants?" That's great.
The answer to whatever you asked me is yep. I don't know what you said. I'm sorry. I have no idea.
Do you have anything else from the stream you wanted to cover?
Yeah, I wanted to slap a couple of things on here real quick. Just where is it? I really thought it was super interesting when they were talking about that Unity is normally not known or it's not really advertised for large open worlds, but because of the way they were able to save data on the disk and I assume I have to watch the stream a few more times to really grasp it, but I assume the bubble system or whatever we're going to call it, and not using the Unity scenes that are built into Unity, that custom work's really paying off for them to be able to do. I want to say, but I have to do my homework. Probably this has never been done on Unity before. I think that's super cool.
Wow.
It's interesting. It's funny you should say that, Nathan. I actually had it in my notes. You know, has this ever? Where did I write it down? I said, like, has this been done before? You know, is this a tried and tested technique? You know, and I think that's an interesting question. So definitely some research, would be useful and interesting to look into that. But that's I don't have anything else to say, Drac. I think I've gone through my notes pretty thoroughly with all our guests, covered everything that I had written down. But yeah.
All right, everybody. Well, it's been a great time. We got through everybody in the green room. Thank you, VR, for being in spilling beans and chatting with us. I love having you here. Thank you, everyone that joined us. We love having you guys. Without everybody in chat, without our guests to come on, this would be a really, really short show.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
We'd just be repeating ourselves
We would be.
for an hour is what we would do.
More so than usual.
That's awesome. And I will have this video up on YouTube in 24 hours. That's our affiliate agreement. So look for that if you missed all or part of it. And so, with that, we will wish you all a good night and look forward to, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of videos coming out of this stream from both us and, Nathan's already probably creating them right now. So
yeah, I am actually. I'm editing as we speak.
All right, guys. Have a great night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Pantheon Plus was founded on the idea of community matters. Our mission is to foster the most engaged, kind, and helpful community that any MMORPG has ever seen. Your participation fuels not only different ideas from different points of view, it's also the foundation of everything we do at Pantheon Plus. We strive to be the megaphone that gets your opinions and viewpoints out there to be discussed. And the best part is, more than any other game we've seen, the devs are listening.
So we invite and encourage you to drop in on Discord and leave a question for the Rewind. Or maybe you'd prefer to join the Green Room and add your 2 cents to the newest content that is dropped for Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. Or maybe you want to write some fan fiction and put it on the Pantheon Plus website. Or if you're really brave, you could do a Plus profile with me and tell everyone about your MMO gaming history.
We want you to stop lurking in the background and start to make your mark on the world of Terminus. So when that glorious day comes and Pantheon launches, everyone will know the name of your adventurer. Community matters.
#CommunityMatters.